The Sciforror Film Podcast. Hello and welcome to another extra episode of the Sciforror Film Podcast, in which I am talking to Rob Worsey, who was the director of the film, I'll get it right this time, All This Time.
Hi Andy, thanks for having me on.
No, it's great to have you on. Thank you for being here. What I normally do, let's start as I normally do, which is just tell us a little bit about yourself and about how you got to be where you are now with making films.
Yeah, so I'm an independent writer-director, so my day job is camera opping for corporate and commercial stuff, and then I like to write and direct on the side in the independent field, so kind of came out of uni. I've loved film since I was a kid, basically. Came out of uni and was working on short films, and then eventually some filmmaker friends of ours pushed us to make a feature, and our first one was called Among the Living. We made it during lockdown, and we didn't plan to make it during lockdown, obviously. It's just, it kind of happened.
Yeah.
I think we were set to shoot in like May 2020, and it was getting to February, and we were like, oh, I'm sure it'll pass by then, we'll be all right. So yeah, we made that, and it seemed to go all right, and we managed to wrangle people together and get some funding together for a second one, which is All This Time, which is out in festivals now, I guess.
Cool. No, that's cool. So, have you kind of always made horror stuff, or have you tried other?
Well, I think we've always been told, and we've kind of seen this, is that horror is the most accepting genre for low budget and indie stuff.
Yeah.
And so we've kind of always been in that realm. But I mean, if you've seen the film, and like you've seen it, Andy, it's not much of a horror. I think I like to say it's a drama or a thriller in a horror backdrop, because that's the stuff I really love. And so we think there's enough horror in there to kind of interest the horror crowd. But yeah, I like the kind of the twists and the drama and the emotion and that sort of stuff. So it's a bit of a blend of genres. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I said to you, I think the problem nowadays is the fact that there are a lot of people who equate horror with gore. And if there isn't lots of people being killed and lots of blood and guts, then they don't think it's a horror film. And I don't get that. I really don't.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I guess ours is maybe more of a psychological horror and in that kind of realm. But yeah, there's not loads of jump scares. There's not loads of blood and guts. But I think I've been told it's unsettling, which is kind of one way to put it, I guess.
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, it's got a really good atmosphere to it. I think that's one of the things that we noticed is that the atmosphere throughout the whole film is really good. It's got enough oddness to it to make it kind of like make you wonder what's going on and make it seem unsettling a bit.
That's good.
One of the things that we kind of thought was the fact that one of the things that added, I think, to the atmosphere and everything was the actual location. The house itself is very I don't know, because it's quite a large looking house, and it's quite it's kind of like it's not like a maze of rooms, but there are definitely twists and turns within the house as they go through it. So where was it actually filmed, and how did you find the location?
Yeah, well, it was actually three houses, which is good that no one seems to have picked up on that. No one seems to have noticed, but I'd love to say that we did that intentionally to add to the kind of confusion of her walking around and suddenly she's somewhere else, that you can't kind of recognize the geography of the house. But in truth, I mean, the main house, the one that we see of the exteriors and the ballroom and the kind of the grandest rooms, that's Allerton Castle outside of York. And we would have loved to have shot more there, but budget reasons, we just couldn't. So we had 4 days there. And then for most of the film, so the bedrooms and the reception room and like the hallways and the where they have breakfast. That's a place called Castle Eden up in Hartlepool. Um, and it was just a producer, Kate, just finding locations. She's really good at it. She always finds the best locations, and so it was a mixer of those. That we did four days at Allerton, and then about 10 or 11 days up at Castle Eden with some extra days elsewhere. But I'm glad that you didn't notice that it was 2 hours or 3 hours.
No, no, and so I think it added to the atmosphere because of the fact it was a kind of like, where are they going? What's going on? Where are they going through the house? Um,
That's good.
the story itself is quite complex in a lot of ways. So how did you come up with the idea for it, and how did you put it together?
Well, there was no kind of easy inception point for it. It never just appeared overnight. It was lots of like long discussions because, like you say, it is quite complex, and it didn't start out that way. I mean, the original synopsis that I found the other day when we were looking through is a woman wakes up in this big mansion, goes down to breakfast, and there's a load of other people having breakfast with her, and she doesn't really know what's happening, and it seems like a time loop, and one by one they go missing, and that's kind of where it appeared from, and then just long car drives with Kate and working through the story, we'd come up with lots of ideas, lots of them bad, some of them good, and eventually it stuck, and it just kind of slowly became fleshed out, and we would add in subplots, add in characters. It was a really, really long process. I'd love for it to have just appeared overnight, or if I could say, oh, I dreamt it and just wrote it down the next morning in 2 hours and it was done. But no, it was months, probably close to a year, just of chatting. Yeah.
But it doesn't surprise me, to be honest, because it does kind of like it. What's interesting is the fact that it kind of I don't know. It kind of comes across a bit like a time loop, and you start to think that it's the same thing, same day
Yeah.
repeating itself. But then you kind of later on you find that the time is actually moving on. So it's kind of interesting in that way because you can there are two or three places where you kind of get a feeling that you know what's going on, and then something changes, and you think, well, hang on, how does that work? What's that? What's happening there? And I
Yeah.
think that it's good because it keeps you thinking about what's going on during the film.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I mean, I love those sorts of films where you're trying to work out what the hell's going on throughout all of it, and then you get to the end and you just feel like an idiot for not piecing it together. And if you watch it again, it's just like, how did this is obvious. This is the only way it could have gone. So
Yeah,
I love those sorts of films. So we were trying to make something like that, and so yeah, there's twists and turns in there, and there's lots of clues whether people pick up on all of them or just some of them. But I think there's enough clues for people to be piecing together, and we've watched it with lots of different people and chatted to lots of different people, and it's always interesting that different people get like further along the scale of working everything out, and different people pick up on different clues. Everyone has a different interpretation, but that's lovely because it's so nice to chat to people afterwards about it
yeah,
rather than them just saying, "Yeah, it was good. It was quite scary, but that's it." You know.
yeah. No, I mean, I must admit, it wasn't until kind of towards the end that I kind of thought I'd start worked it out. But even then, there is a twist right at the end which I wasn't quite expecting,
That's
and
good. Yeah.
and that was good. The the problem the problem we have sometimes with doing these podcasts is the fact that we watch so many horror films that sometimes it gets a bit like, oh yeah, seen that before, you know. But I didn't think that in this. It really was quite interesting all the way to the end. It kept me thinking and kept me interested right the way to the end.
That's good. Yeah.
So the cast, I mean, are they people you knew, or did you audition them, or where did they come from?
Some of them we knew. So Emily Rose Holt, who plays Grace, we knew her. We've worked with her on quite a few films now. She was in the last couple of features I worked on and shorts before that, and so she was always kind of top choice to play Grace. And then Dan DeBorg, who plays Elias, and Emma Pallant, who plays the housekeeper, they were recommendations through a film actor, well, an actor friend of mine, Joe Milton. Because it's always tricky kind of acting outside of or casting outside of your circle because we're spending so much time with these people. We want to make sure that they're decent to kind of work with and be around. And so we like to
Yeah,
get recommendations from people, not just that they're a great actor, but they're not a dick as well. So
yeah,
yeah, and
yeah.
Dan and Emma were came through Joe, and they were brilliant. And then a couple of cast like Darcy, who plays the young girl, the cleaner, and Luke, who plays one of the hunters. They were on casting calls, yeah. So we did kind of go out for people, but yeah, for the key roles, we like to either cast people we know or at least try and get recommendations.
Yeah, no, I could. I must admit, I think everybody in the film did a really good job. I think they all of them did played their part really well, and they all worked together really well. And that's always very important. If you've got a weak link within the cast, it can throw the whole thing. But I don't think you had that at all. I think
That's great, yeah,
they were all really
really great.
good. So at the moment, it's out in doing festivals. Have you got many more festivals for it to do? Has it got a lot more to go to?
We're waiting to hear from quite a few, but we're playing next to Bedford this weekend, so we're down there, down south again for Saturday, Sunday. I think we're playing on the Saturday kind of afternoon, evening, and
Okay.
that's not a genre festival. So we've mostly played genre like horror festivals. We've only
Yeah.
played one that hasn't been so far. So I was kind of unsure about how it was going to go down because I still don't really know where it fits, whether it fits better in genre or better in just kind of normal festivals. So yeah, Bedford this weekend. It'll be interesting to see kind of how it plays and how people react to it.
I think it's got enough in it for it to work in horror festivals. But I
Yeah,
do think it's also got a wider appeal because of the fact it is more of a kind of psychological thriller almost. It just
yeah,
happens to have a kind of horror element to it,
yeah.
you know. But I think it should go down quite well. I don't see why it wouldn't. You know, it's a well-made film and it's you know it looks good and I think a lot of people appreciate that, especially if you're making it on a low budget. It's kind of people
Yeah.
appreciate you know, you've made a decent film.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Fingers crossed. I'll let you know how it goes. If it's a total misfire, I'll give you a message and say it was awful. And people were
Yeah,
walking
no,
out
I
halfway
mean,
through. Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I wasn't sure because a couple of people said to me that they when they saw it at the Romford, a couple of people said that they weren't sure that it fitted with the horror thing, and I thought,
Yeah.
oh yeah, but it depends on what your view of a horror film is. Um, and I think even yourself, you said you didn't know if there was enough horror in it for us. But
Yeah, I think it's fair for them to say that. I mean, like you say, it depends what your view on horror is, but um, yeah, I totally get why people say that.
I mean, I've got to admit, I've got to say that the only film in my life that I've ever seen that really scared me. I was about 12 years old and I watched The Pit and the Pendulum, the one with the Roger Corman film with Vincent Price in. And that's not a film with a lot of blood and guts and a lot of jump scares in. What scared me mostly in that was the fact that he played an ordinary man who suddenly became this complete psychopathic monster. So, you know, films like that are what I grew up watching. So watching a film that
Yeah,
had a good narrative story and it kind of like developed as it went on was really kind of nice to see. And it didn't
that's
just
good.
rely on jump scares and blood.
Yeah. Well, the thing is for me, like I don't get scared by films. Like nothing scares me, so I don't watch horror films to be scared necessarily, and so that's why I think it does fit in the genre because of the backdrop and because it feels more like a psychological horror, but just because it doesn't scare you, I don't think that should rule it out from horror, if that makes sense.
No, no, definitely not. Definitely not. So, where now? What are your plans for future films? Have you got any that you're already working on, or have you got some that you're going to be working on in the next, you know, in the near future?
Yeah, well, we're still kind of finalizing this one, but we're definitely in early stages of the next couple of films, and we're planning a few different ones, and we're going to see what sticks basically, because the as always with indie filmmaking, the hard thing is funding and money. That's
Yeah.
always the thing that's stopping us. I'd shoot one a year if I could, but yeah, it's not feasible. So we're in the early stages, kind of planning one that's a similar tone to All This Time, but a different story. We don't just want to rehash it,
Yeah.
and then one that's very different. So yeah, we've got a couple of options and see what kind of takes off first, I guess.
And are they going to be ones that you're going to write? You're writing as
Yeah, right and direct. Yeah, yeah, for
cool.
sure.
Cool. No, I look forward to those. So you got any Are you thinking of trying to get All This Time out on a streaming platform or anything like that at all in the future?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, we're enjoying the festival run at the moment, so we're not in a rush to kind of finalize that. But there's been interest already from people, so it'll definitely end up on some sort of streaming. Maybe the end of this year, but I don't know if that's too soon. But the end of this year to the start of next year, definitely it'll be on. It'll be on there.
Okay. Well, that's cool. No, I like it. Sounds good. Um, I I I enjoyed watching the film, and I think it'll do really well. And I wish you all the best with it at other festivals and in the future for the streaming and that sort of thing. And I look forward to seeing more stuff from you. And I hope future films do well as well.
Nice one. Cheers, Andy. I appreciate you taking the time to watch it and then give us a call as well. So yeah, it's always nice to hear what people think about it because it can be one where it goes one or two ways. Either people don't get through it or people kind of seem to like it. So yeah, it's always reassuring to
Yeah,
to hear people compliment it. So yeah, thank you.
that's all right. No, it was our pleasure to do it. I wish I'd seen it actually at the Romford because I think it would have. I enjoyed watching it, but even watching it on the watching it on a smaller screen on my computer, I don't. I would like to have seen it on the big screen on the actual in the actual cinema because I think it would have had a different impact.
Yeah, I think it works well on the big screen.
Yeah,
Um,
I kind of
yeah.
I couldn't get round to see everything at Romford, and it's kind
No,
of like
no.
when I watched your film, I kind of thought I wish I'd gone in and seen that. Now. I wish I'd sort of like made a point of going to see it because it really looked good. Um, so yeah, as I say, good luck with everything with that and with the future. Thank you for being on the show. Great.
No, it's been a pleasure. It's been great.
Um, when I put this up, I will, as always, put up links to social media and
Hmm.
sort of thing. So everybody out there, keep an eye out in the future for in upcoming festivals and in the future for All This Time, and for any more films from Rob. And hope to see you again soon, sometime.
Nice one. Cheers, Andy. I'll probably see you at a festival sometime soon.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. See you later.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
The Sciforror Film Podcast.